the wheelbarrow poem. We're going to recite it all together, all of us, TAs, everybody here at the Folger. We're going to recite it together. Do not look down at your text. All right? Here we go. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. Wheelbarrow, right. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. Okay. So, they're laughing, which of the TAs wants to say how that actually diverges from imagism?
Well, I mean, the so much depends upon is in a way like kind of becomes a rally cry for ModPo, I think, in general. I mean, you have the static image afterwards, but there's this immediate qualifier that is basically saying, pay attention to this because this is important.
Yes, good. So, so much depends upon is not imagistic. Max McKenna, technically speaking, violates the Imagist Manifesto. How and why? Technically,
it's there's something like programmatic about it. I mean, it's kind of trying to call your attention to something other than the image or the object or the thing that it's describing.
Thank you. It's telling rather than showing, I guess, is the cliche, right?
Sure, and I think that's true of a lot of the Imagist poems that we were reading. There's always something a little bit kind of controversial or polemical about each of them.
HD, Sea Rose, and Sea Poppies is not so much polemical in its phrasing as polemical in the very fact that it pulled off something so radically, extremely, purely imagistic. But in this case, he tacks on so much depends upon. The pure Imagist poem would be the fragment, red wheelbarrow glazed with rainwater beside the white chickens. That would be the photograph, the image. By adding so much depends upon, he's framed it, and he's basically drawing, as everybody has said, he's drawing attention to it. So, Dave Poplar, anything more to say? I mean, if we took so much depends upon off, it would be less programmatic, less rhetorical, right? Less ideological, more imagistic. Would it be a better poem?
Well, that's in the eye of the beholder. I mean,
yeah, but I'm asking you as a beholder.
My opinion?
Yes, your opinion.
I like the way it is. I mean, it's hard for me to say that because I've just lived with it as it is right now, and it's not, like we said, entirely imagistic.
It's a little hard to get that toothpaste back in the what do we call it? The tube. Yeah, so
exactly.
So so much depends upon suggests that everything that follows is something that we need to depend upon, something that's really important. Lily, let's you and I riff. I'll say so much depends upon. You say so much. We'll do it, right? Okay, here we go. I'll start. So much depends upon things, just things. You go.
So much depends upon my memory.
So much depends upon something I can't get out of my head, probably from childhood when there was a real farm.
So much depends upon color contrast, red and white.
So much depends upon a fragment.
So much depends.
This is a game. Keep going. You have to take a drink after each one.
Okay.
It's the new wheelbarrow drinking game. Oh, cool. Somebody out there in Modpo Land, will you please monetize this? Go ahead. Bought you some time.
Okay.
So much depends upon.
So much depends upon appreciating an image and not putting more on it than there is in front of it.
So much depends upon words that depend, follow from, and hang from, depend from this opening clause. Go ahead.
So much depends upon the way that rain falls on a metal object.
So much depends upon freshness. So much depends upon newness. We know William's obsession with newness. So much depends upon simplicity. So much depends upon just what you see. So much depends upon photography.
So much depends upon the mechanical world. So much depends upon the organic world. So that's what the message is, that you are very vulnerable. and you're dependent on
Yeah,
the mechanical
it's almost
world,
an
your
environmentalist
environment.
poem.
That's right.
But it's an environmentalist poem that synthesizes the mildly industrial, the wheelbarrow, and the chickens, which are free range. I mean, these are really free range.
So
Really free range. I mean, they're just chickens going.
So the subliminal message is you're vulnerable. I'm going to hide it behind this
Right.
picture.
Wow. So much depends upon a fine balance of artifice and nature. Yes. And the beauty that is created by that environmental synthesis. Wow. John Knight, man.